Hi students, Assalamu alaikum. This is Wahid Yusuf, your English teacher, and this is the third lecture of the poem that is last lesson of the afternoon. And in today's lecture, in today's this lecture, we shall read the poem and we shall try to find out what is there in the poem. So before starting, I will do a reading of this poem first, then we'll start reading it line by line. When will the bell ring and end this weariness? How long have they tugged the leash and strained apart? My pack of unruly hounds, I cannot start them again on a quarry of knowledge they hate to hunt. I can haul them and urge them no more. No longer now can I endure the burnt of the books that lie out on the desks, a full threescore, of several insults, of blotted pages and scrawl, of slovenly work that they have offered me. I am sick, and what on earth is the good of it all? What good to them or me I can't see. So shall I take my last dear fuel of life to heap on my soul and kindle my will to a flame that shall consume their dross of indifference and take the toll of their insults in punishment? I will not. I'll not waste my soul and my strength for this. What do I care? What do I care for all that they do amiss? What is the point of this teaching of mine and of this learning of theirs? It all goes down the same abyss. What does it matter to me if they can write a description of a dog or if they can't? What is the point to us both? It is all my own, and yet I am supposed to care with all my might. I do not, and I will not. They won't, and they don't, and that's all. I shall keep my strength for myself, and they can keep theirs as well. Why should we beat our heads against the wall of each other? I shall sit and wait for the bell. Talking about the poem expresses the poet's mood, actually, the teacher's mood of bitter desperation at the thanklessness of his students. He wants to invoke them. He wants to involve them in this learning activities, but they are no more interested. They are not interested in this, and that the teacher's mind, what the teacher's mind thinks, that is in the poem. What the teacher thinks of the students now, that is in this poem. And we shall read in this poem the teacher's mind, how the teacher thinks about his students now, who are compared to dogs, because they are no more interested in learning things. They are only interested in going away in different ways. So that is what we are going to read in the poem. See, when will the bell ring and end this weariness? How long have they tugged the leash and strained apart my pack of unruly hounds? I cannot start them again on a quarry of knowledge they hate to hunt. I can haul them and urge them no more. See, the poem last lesson of the afternoon, which we are doing, it is, I told you earlier, it is the reflection of the teacher's mind, a teacher's mind. And in these lines, the poem reflects the agony, the pain of a teacher, who is in a desperate mood owing to the indifference of his students. He has failed to evoke any response from them. So they are indifferent, and they are not responsive. The students are not responsive. The students are indifferent. The students are not responsive. They don't respond to their teacher, and he even fails to evoke any response from them. and now the teacher is tired, and he finds himself at the different position. He finds that the students are indifferent, and all his efforts to inspire his students have failed. All his efforts have failed, and now the teacher, he compares his students to hounds which are not easily controlled, and he compares his students to dogs who are which are not easily controlled, and the students who hate and refuse to pursue the knowledge, and they are those kind of students who refuse to pursue the knowledge, who hate to learn anything, and now the teacher is convinced that he can no longer inspire his students who are violent, who are noisy, and thus accepts defeat of not arousing any response in them. So he accepts that he accepts his failure as a teacher because he can no longer arouse his students. He can no longer get any response from his students. He can no longer evoke his students, and that is why he accepts this defeat, and he himself is waiting for the final bell, so that the final bell will end this weariness. See, if we try again, if we try to find if we try to read this read this stanza, first stanza again. See, first there are some words, I will try to tell you the meanings of those words. There is this tugged, it means pulled. It means pulled. This strained apart, it means to break, make an intense effort to break away. And there is this hounds means hunting dogs, uncontrollable dogs. And there is this quarry, it means animal, bird which is hunted, or something which is hunted, we can simply say it. Here it means a bit of knowledge, and it has been used in a sense that query of knowledge, that is hunt of knowledge. So they are no more interested in hunting the knowledge. See, the stanza first, it starts with a question. It starts with a rhetorical question. The teacher wonders if the final bell that ends the school day will ever ring. So it is a rhetorical question, a question which expects no answer, and the poet uses it to make his point and strengthen his argument. So he wants to make his point, he wants to make his argument strong. That is why he uses this question at the very beginning of the poem. And in line 3, the poet compares here the poet compares his learners to a pack of hunting dogs, to a pack of unruly hounds, to a group of to a, this herd of pack of dogs, and he compares them by using a metaphor. He does this because he feels he has been trying to lead them in one direction while they pull on their leads to go in another direction, and they have been continuously pulling, their leads, and they are going towards another direction, and that is why he compares them to dogs, hunting dogs, who would always pull, who would always pull that leash to go away from their master, in order to do everything which they wanted. And same is the case here. They don't want to learn anything, and that is why the teacher compares his students to the hounds, and because he was trying to lead them in one direction while they were pulling on their leads to go in another direction, like the hunting dogs. And then the teacher finds himself exhausted, he finds himself tired, and he wants this weariness to end, he wants this weariness to end, and the teacher is exhausted, he wants to give up, he's not going to force knowledge into them any longer. So he doesn't want to make them learn anything, he doesn't want to make them learn, he doesn't want to invoke them anymore. So that is what is there in the sentence first. Now talking about another sentence, that is sentence second. No longer now can I endure the burnt of the books that lie out on the desks, a full threescore of several insults of blotted pages and scrawl of slovenly work that they have offered me. I am sick, and what on earth is the good of it all? What good to them or me? I cannot see. See, in this stanza, the students are disinterested as far as their pursuit of knowledge is concerned. We are told that the students they are indifferent, they are not interested in pursuing the knowledge, as their pursuit of knowledge is not there, they are not interested in getting any knowledge. So the teacher does not want to experience this under pleasantness, he doesn't want to bear all this, he doesn't want to bear all this. The teacher has grown sick of the shabby and untidy work his students have done, because they don't even write properly, they don't even learn properly, so they don't do anything what a student is famous for, what a student is taken for. They don't do all these things, and there are so many students in the class whose disinterestedness has deeply hurt the teacher, whose disinterestedness has deeply hurt the teacher, and the teacher takes it as an insult and now realizes his unsuccessful attempt of inspiring his students, and thus the utter failure of teaching learning process. See, we have some words here that burnt means stress caused by the sight of students books, and three score means 60, and then we have scroll means writing. Here this word scroll, it means writing, and slovenly means dirty or untidy. Here is the word slovenly, which means dirty or untidy. See, this stanza, the poet focuses the poet focuses the attention on the written work that is lying on his learner's desks to be collected. Now in the first stanza, the poet talks about the students, stanza 1, the poet talks about the students, and in second stanza he talks about the written works of the students, and he tells us that the written works that are lying on the learner's desks, they are to be collected, and uh, the teacher doesn't even want to look at them, the teacher doesn't want to look at the written works of the students, the teacher doesn't want to look at them, he describes them an insult, see, of several insults of blotted pages. He describes them an insult because he thinks that his learners do not have any respect for him or the subject he is teaching, and he finds that the work was untidy because in those days there were no ballpoint pens or even fountain pens, and learners used to dip pens and the desks had little wells filled with ink in which they dipped the pens. So there was this small bowl shaped places where they had this ink on the desks, and they would dip their pen into that ink and they would write. And the trouble was that if you were not very careful, the excess ink would run over your paper and make huge black blobs on the paper, and the students who did not care about their work would produce sheets of paper with these blobs all over them, and students could use blotting paper, otherwise the ink would get on clothes. So all these students, they would not write the things properly. They would not write the things properly, and it didn't look good. It didn't look that all these pages were written pages. It seemed that they were insults of blotted pages. They were insults of blotted pages. And this is what the writer, what the poet talks about here. And the teacher does not see the purpose of all this, not for him or the learners. And he says that I'm sick, and what on earth is good of it all? And he tells the reader that there is no good of there is no good of it at all, because neither their purpose is fulfilled nor my purpose is fulfilled, because they don't write, and I can't read their write ups, because there are these blotted pages. There are these blotted pages, blotted with ink, and there are no writings. There are no write ups. There are no liners which I can write. And that is why he tells, I am sick, I am painful, and what on earth is the good of it all? And what good to them or me I cannot see. So that is how he tells us. That is why he tells us that I can't find anything good in this process of writing by them and checking by me. My last dear fuel of life to heap on my soul. Sorry, so shall I take here from here. I misread it. So shall I take my last dear fuel of life to heap on my soul, and kindle my will to a flame that shall consume their dross of indifference, and take the toll of their insults in punishments. Punishment I will not. See, dross means anything considered to be worthless. That is what dross is. And here in this stanza, now the teacher, he makes a decision. He makes a decision. In stanza first, the teacher talks about the students. In stanza second, the teacher talks about the works done by the students, the papers written by the students, the homework, classwork written by the students. And in this stanza, the teacher makes a decision. The teacher makes a decision, and he tells us that he will not spend his energy, that is fuel of life, that is his energy. He will not spend his energy on his learners, on his students, and he's going to spend it on himself. He's going to spend on himself. That is why he says, and kindle my will to a flame that shall consume their dross of indifference, and take the toll of their insults in punishments. And he tells us that he is going to spend this energy of his on himself. He has already tried to teach them, and that did not work. They are not interested in anything like that. He ends the stanza by saying that he is no longer going to be punished by their careless work. This is ironic. So he says that their dross of indifference, and take the toll of their insults in punishments I'll not. So this is ironic when he says that he's no longer going to be punished by their careless work. So this careless work of the students, it would punish him. And ironically, he is saying that usually the teacher, see what is ironical here, usually the teacher meets out punishment. Now he feels that his learners are punishing him through their sloppy work. So this is ironical. Usually a teacher punishes the students, but he talks about the punishment which he gets from his students, and what kind of punishment it is, that they are not interested in learning, they are not interested in writing their lessons, writing their works, etc. So that is how it is ironical here. So he says that he's not going to be punished by their careless work, because he even wants to leave the class. He is even waiting, he is himself waiting for the final bell, so that this tiredness, this weariness would end, so that this tiredness and weariness would end. And I'll also end my lecture here, and in the next lecture we'll discuss the rest of the stanzas. So till then, have a nice day. Allah Hafiz.